Hi guys, it's Mark Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zicree of Space Command. And boy, it's been busy. Working on Space Command, working on Sweet Haven, Showrunners Network, the new book, Greenlighting Yourself. Just, our days are full, and soon we'll be sharing a lot more of that with all of you. And by the way, if you've been wanting to buy Space Command shares, now would be the moment. And the link will be down there. So, but right now what I wanted to talk to you about is 3 lost gems of science fiction. I mean, we all know the major titles of science fiction: Fahrenheit 451, Rendezvous with Rama, on and on. So there's, the Foundation trilogy. There's no end of these classic versions that are being made into movies and TV shows. Dune, of course. But I found 3 that I wanted to recommend to you that are largely unknown nowadays, and very, very, very interesting. And many of them represent major firsts in their way. And so let me start with this one. I've talked about this before, Black No More by George Schuyler. Now this is, I believe, the first science fiction novel written by an African American. It was written in 1930, came out in 1930, and it's set several years hence. And it's a story in which a scientific method is developed to turn black people into white people, and what happens to America when this occurs. And this is the very, very rare dust jacket. You can see black people come in and white people come out. And it's a wonderful satirical book. It satirizes all the major black figures of that era. Schuyler knew all of them personally. In later years, he became very right wing, but during this period, he was very much in the mainstream of the Harlem Renaissance, and was hanging out with Langston Hughes and those kind of guys. And it's a really interesting book, very timely now with Black Lives Matter, etc. It really discusses the racial divide in America, which sadly has not come further than we would hope. So now you don't have to buy, this is the first edition, but you don't have to buy this. It's available in more recent editions on eBay and Amazon and the like. And interestingly enough, I found a companion volume of this little book in which a friend who knew George Schuyler was writing from London during the Blitz. It's dated, there's an inscription inside. It's London, September 18th, 1940, still alive on this date, because at that point it was the depths of the Blitz with Hitler raining, bombs on London and other parts of England. And but he wrote a note, which is asking for. He said, "Dear Schuyler, could you send me a copy of Black No More? Can't be obtained at Foyle's," which was a bookstore in London. He says, "I read it in Moscow some years ago, where it had quite a good reception among the red intellectuals, and just read your column in the Courier on August 24th. We'll pass it on to West Indians." And so this is this is a book with that inscription, and written to the author of Black No More. So I can recommend this very interesting book. And then many of you who watch Mr. Sci-Fi know that I'm a big devotee of histories of World War II, and very interested in books that present an alternative history of World War II, such as The Man in the High Castle, the great novel by Philip K. Dick that my friend Frank Spotnitz turned into a great TV show. But before that was written, and and books like SSGB and so forth, there were 2 alternate histories of World War II. And interestingly enough, both of them were written before World War II, and one was written considerably before World War II. This is the first one. It's called City of Endless Night. And a young professor alerted me to this book. It was written in 1919, came out 1919, 1920, and it's written by an American named Milo Hastings, and it posits a future after World War II. This is just after World War I that was written. A future after World War II where Germany is entirely condensed in an underground version of Berlin. There are 30 million Germans living in there, and they're cut off from the outside world. And it's about an outsider who basically smuggles himself into Berlin to discover what German society is like. And it's under the reign of a single autocratic leader. It has subscribed totally to eugenics, so that they're trying to breed the Aryan Superman. It's really predictive of many, many things that happened, and really interesting. And again, it's City of Endless Night by Milo Hastings. I was brought to awareness about it by a young professor who sent me an audiobook reading he's done of it, which is quite fun. And he wrote a little bit of interstitial material to kind of plug some of the holes in the plot, and they're seamless. And he's offered me 5 free audiobooks of this. So if you say that you'd like me to send you the code, just comment below and give me your email, and the first 5 people who request that will get the audiobook of this very, very, very interesting novel. And then in 1937, a book came out in England called Swastika Night, and it was actually written in 1935. The author was credited as Maury Constantine, and this is actually the second edition that came out in 1940, issued in England by the Left Book Club edition. And this is a more modern edition of it that I'm currently reading, and it's an amazing book. It was, as I say, it was published in 1937, and it posited the Third Reich 1,000 years into the future, after it had basically conquered all of Europe. And the interesting thing is, although it was credited to Murray Constantine, it was actually written by Catherine Burdekin. It's one of the great books of science fiction written by a female writer of science fiction in the 30s. She was, and it deals with it deals with misogyny, it deals with male supremacy and white supremacy. It's just a really, really interesting book. And again, you can get it in modern editions. But the fact that Marie Constantine was a woman was only discovered by an academic who tracked it down in recent years, and that talks of, and then it goes into the details of who she was and what she was and how she came to write this book. But it's really really worth your time and effort, and again, a wonderful alternative history written even before World War II. But she really hit the nail on the head in terms of Nazism and its belief systems, the anti-Christian aspects of it, the anti-woman aspects of it, the racial, aspects. I mean, they deal with genocide against the Jews, all sorts of stuff. Very predictive, very far-seeing. And so these are three lost gems of science fiction that I can recommend. And again, it's Black No More, great book, okay, by George S. Schuyler, and City of Endless Night by Milo Hastings, and finally Marie Constantine, aka Catherine, I want to get it right, Burdekin, and this is the Galance edition that you can get online. And it's, or you can get the early editions. I mean, they're not that expensive. If you wanted a first edition of this in Dust Jacket, that might set you back, $1,500 or so, but you can get it for considerably less if you don't want to be a perfectionist. So that's about it for now. We'll be talking very, very soon about Space Command, about all sorts of stuff that we're working on. We're also going to do a very special Mr. Sci-Fi that will be in 6 or 7 parts. That's going to be really fascinating. And that's about it for now. But thanks for everything. Thanks for all the emotional and financial support. Every little bit helps. We're rocketing along. So that's it for now. We'll talk to you soon. And again, guys, thanks for everything. Bye.